A threat to the world. That's how U.S. President Donald Trump's administration is describing Iran's government. The State Department has announced plans to form an international coalition to counter what it calls Iran's destabilizing influence. But it's not clear what shape this coalition will take or whether it involves any type of military component. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is expected to give further details in his first foreign policy address on Monday. We'll get to our guests in a moment, but first, let's have a listen to what the State Department spokeswoman, Heather Nauert, had to say on this issue.
The United States will be working hard to put together a coalition, not unlike the de-ISIS coalition, where we bring together a lot of countries from around the world with the specific goal of looking at the Iranian regime through a more realistic lens, not just through the lens of the nuclear deal, but rather through all of its destabilizing activities that aren't just a threat to the region, but are a threat to the broader world.
Here in Izmir, Turkey's full range of firepower was on display as it kicked off the International FS 2018 military exercise along the shores of the Aegean Sea.
Turkey is a critical partner to the United States and to NATO, and it brings so many countries, over 20 countries together, working together to build interoperability and to demonstrate the commitment of the alliance all working together.
Dozens of fighter jets, tanks, armored vehicles, attack helicopters, warships, and special forces operators from across the world participated in the military drill. This is where we're expecting more simulated airstrikes, as over 20 separate countries are working with the Turkish military. And right now, the F-16 just direct hit on the target. This is Turkey's largest international military exercise, with over 20 separate countries working with the Turkish military command. The Turkish military officials that we've spoken with tell us that this exercise is meant to enhance the cooperation between all the countries involved.
In his first sermon of the Islamic holy month of fasting, a normally mild-mannered cleric's outspoken rebuke of the American president.
This evil newcomer, Donald Trump, showed us he is a crazy man. He's doing everything and saying everything without wisdom. He has no religion, no humility, no shame, no consideration. He has nothing. In reality, he's someone who has nothing.
He also used the pulpit to criticize leaders of other Muslim nations and predict Israel's demise.
Arab leaders are silent because America has dominated them. As the Supreme Leader said, they are paid slaves who have no voice. And the international community and the Organization of Islamic Cooperation showed that they cannot follow the rules. They don't have consensus, and morality has no place in diplomatic affairs.
The imams who lead Friday prayers speak for the Supreme Leader. So it's an easy way for worshippers to know what's on Ayatollah Ali Khamenei's mind.
Palestinians stood up, and over the past few days, people came to the scene, unarmed, and were massacred. It was another disgrace in the dark history of this dirty regime of Israel. And the President of America is its supporter, and it was the latest evidence that they are not committed to any rule of law.
The sermon was punctuated by familiar chants of death to America, Israel, Britain, and Saudi Arabia. Donald Trump has been a critic of Iran's involvement in conflicts in the Middle East since he was a presidential candidate. But if Europe's leaders are going to save the 2015 nuclear deal, the Trump administration's demands for curbs on Iran's ballistic missiles program could be their biggest hurdle. Iran says it's a defensive necessity against the United States and other powerful countries in the region. And despite suggestions by European signatories, Iran says compromising its self-defense capability is off the table, even if it means scrapping the nuclear agreement.